In this video, I'm going to go over every single type of fat that's used in cooking all over the world. Nah, just kidding, that would take forever. All life has some amount of fat in it. Some species have more fat than others. Oil is extremely useful in cooking. It can taste good, it can get hot enough for the Maillard reaction, and it can preserve food for a very long time. For these reasons, most cultures have some sort of cooking oil. Let's quickly go over the most common types of cooking fats, starting with the plant-based ones. As I go through these, keep in mind that there are many possible variations in the culinary traditions surrounding the productions of these oils. Olives have been used for thousands of years to make cooking oils around the Mediterranean. Olive oil is my go-to because it's what I grew up with. There are several types, and as always I'll link to videos where you can learn more in the description. Traditionally, fresh olives are beat into a paste, strained to remove the pulp, and then gravity does the rest of the work, because oil is less dense than water. Nowadays, many olive oil producers use huge centrifuges because waiting for fat and water to separate and then skimming it by hand can take a really long time. There are a few other steps to ensure quality, but at that point, you have extra virgin olive oil, or just virgin olive oil if it didn't rain enough. Some of this oil is further processed into refined oil by passing it through filters made with ingredients like charcoal, which remove color and flavor. Some people think this is a good thing. I don't personally. It can actually lower the smoke point to do this, so I really don't see the point. But more on smoke point later. Avocado oil is made in a very similar way, save for the skin is removed first. Avocado oil wasn't made by the indigenous peoples of the Americas, actually. It's a modern innovation. I've been unable to find sources about what types of cooking oils were used widely in the Americas before colonization. To make palm oil, West Africans mix cold water into the pulp of the palm fruit and wait for the oil to separate, much like olive oil. However, unlike olive oil, the palm oil is boiled for several hours to evaporate any extra water. Through this process, the oil becomes less cloudy and develops a rich, deep red color. Both the fruit itself and its kernels are used to make oil. I've linked to a really informative video by a West African creator in the description, which is also where this footage is from. Coconut oil is made through a similar process, but centrifuges have become way more common because boiling coconut oil for too long makes the color redden, just like palm oil. In the Philippines, this color is desirable, and they call the resulting oil lana. Coconut oil can also be made by dehydrating the coconut through sun-drying or a very low-temperature oven. Once dehydrated, all that remains is the oil in a paste, which, after it's been strained out, is fed to livestock. Any seed can be pressed or ground and refined into an oil. This process is often complicated and requires special machinery, so it may be uncommon to find refined seed oils in cultures that aren't super industrialized. Keep this in mind when world building. Canola oil is made from the seeds of the rutabaga plant. Other common seeds are mustard seed oil, grapeseed oil, sesame oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, wheat germ oil. Really, you can probably do this with anything. Seed oils tend to lack flavor because of how refined they are. Oil can also be made out of fatty nuts and legumes, such as peanut oil, soybean oil, walnut oil, and so on. This is useful as an addition to world building because it gives you something to fill the land with. Often, huge centrifuges or presses or mats for sun drying take up a lot of space. These facilities are also very good settings for storylines. Plant-based oil facilities are usually accompanied by a farm to grow the crop the oil is made out of, and the people who make the oil are often the farmers, or in the same family as the farmers. Oil can be made out of animal products too. This fat can come from the body of the animal, like schmaltz from either geese or chicken, duck fat, lard and bacon grease from pigs, or tallow from cows. But the most ubiquitous one in the West is butter, which comes from cream, which comes from milk. Butter is an emulsion of fat, milk solids, and water. Butter is actually 20% water. If you know anything about preservation, you know that a high moisture content is typically a bad thing and needs to be compensated for. In the case of butter, it's actually fine though, because the water bits are too small to propagate the growth of pathogens, as long as, the emulsion doesn't break. Unfortunately, if the ambient temperature is frequently above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and the butter isn't stored in a refrigerator or freezer, it will melt, breaking the emulsion and allowing harmful pathogens to grow in the water. Because of this, cultures in South Asia and East Africa tend to clarify their butter, which means they boil it and let the water evaporate. Clarified butter is shelf-stable at room temperature. In South Asia, the process usually ends here, and they call it ghee. But in Ethiopia, they simmer the clarified butter with a plethora of fantastic spices, and then strain it, creating a fragrant oil they call nuterkebe, which is 100% fat. See the description for some videos by my favorite Habesha creators about how to make it and use it. By the way, these photos are actually of me making it. It's typically added to food at the end of cooking to help maintain its delicate flavor, but many Habesha folk also use it at the beginning to fry aromatics like onions, garlic, ginger, and spices. Hey, why do we fry stuff in oil anyway? Well, besides the Maillard reaction, which makes food taste more savory and complex, most flavor compounds are fat-soluble, not water-soluble. If you boiled the same spices that are usually fried, you'd likely end up with a weaker final product. So, every type of fat has two primary numbers attached to it, freezing point and smoke point. Freezing point, also called melting point, is the temperature at which it is solid. Coconut oil has one of the highest freezing points of any plant-based oil at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like really high for a plant-based oil. It's not quite as high as most animal-based fats though, and we already touched on butter, which has a freezing point of over 90 degrees. Why is this the case? Well, fat is made up of molecules, and those molecules can be anywhere from short to long. They look like this. These extra little lines, called double bonds, are what make fats unsaturated, and they typically lower the freezing point. All of the fats I've discussed so far are a mixture of different types of these molecules at specific proportions. Here's a chart with a breakdown of a lot of common types of fat, and here's an infographic I made that shows what the most common molecule in a type of fat looks like. The smoke point is the temperature at which your oil will start to produce smoke. This is completely unrelated to freezing point because this isn't just evaporation, it's actually burning. Unrefined palm oil, which is a solid at room temperature, has a notoriously low smoke point. But just because your oil's smoking doesn't mean it'll taste bad. If that was true, West African food would taste awful, but it tastes delicious even though the red palm oil starts smoking immediately. But that's not true for all oils. When world building, trying to get these two numbers to line up isn't important at all. So, in order to world build fat, choose the source. Is it a fruit, or a seed, or an animal? How is it extracted? How is it processed? Where do these things happen? Who does them? Is there any cultural significance? I've put a lot of stuff in the description for inspiration. Eat a good fish. They're very high in omega-3 fatty acids. I didn't talk at all about triglycerides or trans fats or carboxylic acid or anything like that. Oh well.